Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach, brought to you by the TeacherCast Educational Network. If you are in charge of professional development and looking to build an innovative digital learning experience, this is the podcast for you. Join us each week as we uncover strategies that tech coaches are using to drive their digital transformations one classroom at a time. And now for your host, with over 2 decades of experience working with tech coaches and ed tech companies from all around the world, Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury, and thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home for professional development. It is July, and it is episode number 101 of Ask the Tech Coach. Sue, how are you today? Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning or good day whenever you're listening. Wow.
Absolutely. Welcome to the last week in July. Look, we've survived half a summertime. We've gone through 2 amazing online virtual conferences, one featuring Microsoft. We just had a great weekend doing our Beyond the Boot Camp. And Sue, we are looking forward to August 8th, where we are doing our Tech Coach Live full day virtual conference. Sue, I can't wait to see what's
for that one. That's definitely going to be our thing.
Mark your calendars. We are doing a full day, 9 to 4 o'clock, 9 to 3:30, whatever we end up going to. All tech coaches by tech coaches all the time. You can check out all the details over on teachercast.net/techcoachlive. That's going to take you to our YouTube page, where not only can you subscribe to the channel, but you can also set your alarm. You'll get an email in the morning letting you know that we are live. We've got some great speakers and are looking for more. If you guys are interested in presenting at this year's Tech Coach Live virtual conference, let us know. We'd love to hear from you guys. And Sue, I got to ask, you started school this week, didn't you?
Yes, actually, one of our campuses, we're a private school, and we have 3 campuses in Kentucky and 1 in Indiana. And because of an alternative calendar they've been doing for years, our Indiana campus started school yesterday, face-to-face. Well, we have some virtual learners.
Masks to masks.
And masks are on students. It's a little bit hilarious. Yesterday morning, as students arrived in Indiana, there was not a mask mandate. So it was just recommended our students wear a mask. So some had them on, some didn't. By the end of the day at the Indiana governor's update, he put out a state mask mandate. And it wasn't necessarily because school was starting, but it just happened that way. So now the school in Indiana is going to have to readjust some things. But overall, school arrival and everything went fairly smoothly yesterday. Kids' faces seem genuinely happy to be there. They're smiling through their eyes with their mask on. But, it really was a fun day yesterday. And getting reacquainted with the teachers has been a passion of mine this week. So it's been a good week. Busy, crazy, but good.
Now, we will definitely be doing additional shows and content on, how to coach on a hybrid model. But, I got to ask, is anything changing for you because we're now back at school? Because, are you allowed to walk into other classrooms and walk by kids? Like how is your role changing because of all of this?
It's a little bit different. In fact, my coworkers and I were having this very conversation the other day of, do we just walk in and observe classes? And we're trying to refrain from that a little more than usual. So, my job is going to be more still kind of virtual, which I'm mobile anyway among 4 campuses. So if somebody on a number of their campus needs me during a day I'm not there, we typically go virtual anyway. But it's going to be a little less of me just walking in the door and checking in and saying, hey, how you doing? It'll be just more checking in via email and let me know when you need me to come see you, or we may just have to still use some Zoom and things like that. So, yeah.
I'm thinking about that a lot. And this has been part of our conversations on Wednesday nights. And by the way, every Wednesday night, we're still doing our Tech Coach roundtables, and you guys can be a part of that if you want. You can go over to teachercast.net/TCN form, and that gives you a nice little online form. You can sign up. We're going to put you into our Tech Coaches Network. You can join a couple. We're almost at 100 tech coaches right now, building this Tech Coach Network back up. We'd love to have you there. But anyway, on Wednesday nights, we do our meetings at 8:30 Eastern. And, the conversation is, the Tech Coach model. We're not really expected to be working hand by hand, side by side with teachers in the classrooms, but are we building in PD time? Are we now shifting from the Tech Coach model to how to teach in a hybrid model? I mean, you're not going to see sitting next. So, like, if a teacher's at a desk trying to do a one-to-one, one-to-many lesson and has a Zoom meeting open, the Tech Coach is not going to be sitting next to that teacher trying to teach them what to do on the spot.
No,
this has to be rethought, right?
Absolutely.
How? Like, what are we doing? This was the conversation last night of, okay, what are we shifting to and how do we do it? And then how do we keep everything organized and so what are you guys coming up with here? Are you in one building? Are you in multiple buildings?
I'm normally in multiple buildings. When the rest of our campuses start in August, I'll be in 4 different buildings. So right now we have one, and they tend to be our guinea pigs because they always start 2 weeks earlier than the rest. So, it's definitely using them as a learning process as we evolve in beginning of the year.
And what's your plan? You're going to walk into a building, go into an office, and then Zoom with teachers? Do you set up a time where you and a teacher are going to meet 8 feet apart?
Various, a little bit of both. I mean, at times it may be I might be at one campus and someone on another campus needs me, so I may have to Zoom in with them. Typically, if I'm on that campus, I'm going to go see them face to face, and we'll social distance as best as possible to get the job done. Sometimes I need to and it's been a little strange. Typically as a tech coach we need to go help them, so we'll touch their computer. I'm finding myself now having to look at them and ask, do you mind if I touch your computer? And most of them are totally fine with that, but it's just that's different for me. I've never really said, do you mind if I touch your things?
It's going to be weird, right? And I know in my school district, the idea, at least that I'm hearing, is students stay put, teachers move.
Right now, ours are moving.
So does that mean
with
that
a lot of hallway monitoring? Yes.
But are we Clorox wiping down the teacher's chair before we sit in it?
The student desk, in between classes right now.
But I mean, if I come into a room and I want to sit at the teacher's desk, do I now need to disinfect that desk?
I mean, that's in our area, that's recommended. Some do, some maybe not. It just depends on the person. And again, that's where I'm just having to ask, do you mind if I sit here? Do you mind if I touch this? Knowing that and letting them know that they will need to take care of it amongst their own personal preference and responsibility when I get up and leave it.
So let's talk about your day. Right. And this, like, we're not looking at this as being the Susan show here, because we want to hear from you guys. Right. Like, there's a lot of questions happening and there's a lot of different things going on. I know in my district, we're coming up with this concept of, even though you might be at a desk, even though you might have students in front of you, every lesson should be thought of as a virtual lesson, something that you can give, because you might also have a computer next to you on a Google Meet. So clearly the concepts of getting up and having a kid interact or a science lab, whatever this is, clearly we're rethinking all of these different things. So tell me a little bit about where you are with all of this, right? Are you creating virtual trainings? Are you creating trainings to help teachers create virtual teachings? Right? Like, what?
Yes,
right.
All of the above. And it's just one of those things where typically in the past I've done some video, but it's becoming much more a part of my job than it ever was. Usually when a question would arise of, I need help with this type of lesson and I need you to give me some technology resources and ideas, it was me doing some research for them, finding a time to meet them face to face, and we meet and we talk about, we plan. Now it's been, we need to incorporate Google Classroom. We need to incorporate Zoom. We've got to do a live Zoom session while I'm teaching face-to-face in the classroom also. So it's been meticulously the last month of making videos quickly of what we need. And not to mention just for the teachers, for the families who are choosing the stay home option. I'm having to be a tech coach for not only teachers, but bringing in the families and being a support for them in some fashion.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because one of the things that I'm seeing pop up is this concept of parent universities. Making sure that we provide our parents with a well-rounded experience. And that doesn't mean tech training.
Right.
But tech training certainly has a part of it. Have you run into this pocket or this concept yet of a parent university or a parent training or anything like this?
Yeah, in some form, not so much by that name in our area, but yes, those considerations and conversations I've heard taking place in our school as well as the public schools around, technology included, but then this social emotional aspect and, having those conversation and, how the school's going to handle things, and then giving parents, the guidance counselors are working on things to equip the parents, when they're teaching their students at home, if people take virtual options that we're offering. So yes, so many of those conversations are happening.
It really does expand our roles, right? Because again, we're used to helping teachers, helping administrators, helping districts, helping students. And as you said, that whole community perspective is good.
Yes.
And it's new and it's exciting, but at the same time, I got to be honest with everybody listening to this. I'm scared.
Absolutely.
Right? And I don't think that's anything wrong to talk about.
Not at all.
I'm scared because I am the guy that's going to be going into every classroom, into every office, into every district level. That is my role, or our role, I would say at this point. Do you have any of those fears? Any thoughts on that? Like what are you doing to protect yourself? And I don't want to get into details, but I mean, you went to school yesterday, you had kids. I would assume came home, quick shower, get ready. What's your daily routine looking like here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess to be brutally honest, I'm not one of those who's really, meticulous and nervous and trying not to have a lot of the fear factor with it. So I try to go about my day as normal as possible. Obviously as staff, when we're in the building around our students, we're wearing masks when we're not presenting. Our actual classroom teachers were able to do the face shields, which has been great for the little ones so they can still see the smiling face of their teacher. But, myself as a, administrative staff, I have my mask on walking around, and thankfully, case numbers in our area haven't been really, really high. So it's not huge concerns like it is, I know, in some states that are dealing with this onslaught of cases of the virus. But, I try to protect myself as best as possible and, follow the guidelines of our that our governor has set and our school staff has set, without trying to, make it so fearful and not let that fear translate to the teachers and students. I'm trying to be as normal for the people I serve as possible, which makes them feel hopefully a little more at ease.
One of the things that we also started discussing last night was how to not go crazy with all of this, right?
Absolutely.
We're trying to keep our kids safe. We're trying to keep our teachers moving forward. And we started talking last night about this conversation and this topic of organizations. And obviously with tech coaches, there's many ways for us to stay organized. We can use Google Keep. We can use Microsoft OneNote. We can use a scribble pad. We can use Evernote. Are you finding that you need to stay more organized? Are you finding that you can handle everything the way it is? Are you looking for new ways of trying to get organized, maybe both for virtual and physical? Because as you said, we're adding parents onto this, which is another layer of organization.
Yes, I'm always myself personally looking for ways to stay organized. I try different things, and I always tend to go back to, as techie as I am, I still have my written list with my colored pens. Even when I go through emails, I have to write it on that little to-do list in my colored pens. That way I can just refer to it. That way I'm not scrolling through my email box and saying, what do I need to take care of? It helps me organize my email box so I can just not have that clutter to look at the next morning if I've written it down on that tablet written piece of paper. Then I can go through and follow up that way. That's just myself. For a lot of people, things like Google Keep and Evernote and OneNote are great ways to do the same thing that I'm doing on a piece of paper. And, you can color code Google Keep wonderfully that way. So those are some things that I do. I try to encourage one thing instead of so much email. The one campus that started when I actually got to do a face-to-face staff meeting with them the other day. They're in the media center, and it's a larger media center. So they were, distance apart, and, I'm projecting my voice across the media center. But I reminded them, just in our Gmail, we do have Google Hangouts, the chat part activated. I said, the quickest way without waiting for an email back is try to use that Google Hangout, especially if it's just a quick question. That way you're not waiting for me to email you back. And if it's something quick I can answer for you, then I can answer for you quickly on my phone or on my computer. And that's that. And none of us have to add it to a to-do list, and you have your answer and you can move on. So that's something that's worked for me. Teach your teachers how to use that Google Hangout chat or Microsoft Team chat, whatever platform your district uses.
It's one of those things I'm working on. We are switching over, or we are starting to encourage people to use Teams as a meeting place. We're actually switching away from Zoom because Zoom is now no longer free for school districts, right? And they've also now gone back to capping at 40 minutes. So for many school districts, Zoom is just not an option.
Right.
So we're looking at Teams. And one of the things that, look, if you're out there and you're a techie-minded person, and I would love your help, because I am on a mission to learn how to build artificial intelligence bots in Teams. So that way we can take all of our frequently asked questions and frequently this and that. And I want to build a chat bot. So that way somebody can come in and go, all right, I've got a question about ed tech. I have a question about Google Classroom. How do I make a banner? And then boom, it automatically goes to a training resource. I got to be seriously honest here, Susan. I don't know how to do that yet, and I'm looking forward to learning. I've got an amazing other tech coach in the district that we're working together, and we're just like, I can't wait to dive into this, because once we have that, it's going to revolutionize how we work together.
Absolutely.
And it's also going to give us more time to focus on things. We created a Microsoft team for our help desk, and then we broke that down into channels. So that way you're not having one thread. We're not having one thread with everything. We actually have a channel for Teams and a channel for Classroom and a channel for, what do we call it? Like general ed tech or something like that.
Right. That is perfect.
We're trying to come up and say, look, these people are in charge of classroom support. These people are in charge, trying to come up with just different ways, because we're all feeling it.
Very much. Very much. So what are some ways you're keeping yourself organized as you get ready to start the year? I'm probably a little further along in year starting, you're preparing and still figuring out what's going on. What are you doing, Jeff?
I've made it a point to not even think about my school duties yet, right? We don't have a schedule like many of it. Where there's no schedule yet. So I know what we've been told from the spring, and I'm looking forward to that. Like if the spring happens, I'm looking forward to it. Teaching technology, teaching broadcasting, I'm loving it. If my classes are bigger, if my classes are smaller, if my classes are hybrid, I can't really think about that yet. And it's not that I'm not planning. It's not that I'm not preparing. It's not that I don't have this, but like I can't sit down and put that together because I don't know.
Yes.
Right. And so I a lot of it, I have the fear of the unknown, because I know as soon as you get that final, here's where things are, two things are going to happen. It's going to change, or you're going to go 90 miles an hour anyway. And so let's figure this out. And you might get to a classroom where the first week happens and you have 20 kids, and then the next week happens and you've got 10, because parents look at this and go, well, the world changed again, or you know what, maybe we can handle virtual, and so how do you prepare for all of those things? I don't know. Teams has been a big help. Microsoft Planner has been a big help. I'm starting to use their booking tools, Microsoft Booking. Like we use Calendly and Book Like a Boss and all those other places, but Microsoft's got a really cool booking tool that for very easily you can set up. Got to be honest, it doesn't look pretty, but it does the job. And so I'm trying to get all the infrastructure of what my next school year will look like. And then I figured if I have that in place, that can be flexible, then I can actually worry about what does chapter 1 look like.
Absolutely. And it's so important, like we said, we're all afraid. And it's all fear of the unknown. And as tech coaches or teachers, if you're listening, it's so important that even if you haven't thought about what your first of the year is going to look like, go in with that attitude of, yep, things are going to change. I'm going to start out one way. It's going to change to something else, maybe, in 2 days or 2 weeks. Look what happened in March. Things changed in a matter of 2 days and we rolled with it. Try to go in, fear is going to be there, but try to go in with the attitude of, hey, I'm going to be flexible. I'm going to be ready to make a change. This is all going to be fluid and we're going to get through it. It's just the fear of the unknown that many of our personalities, our driven personalities as tech coaches, I'm sure many of us share that trait of, we want to know what's going on and we want to plan and be ready.
We have these great conversations every single Wednesday, and we're going to continue to have them on Wednesdays. And if you'd be interested in joining us for our Tech Coaches Network roundtable meetings, or just be a part of our Tech Coaches Network that's growing, it is a free experience. It is a weekly experience. And that is why we do this podcast. Episode 101, Susan. This
wow.
sounds kind of cool here.
I know, 3 digits.
3 digits. That's one more than 2, I believe. And we are here for you guys. It is called Ask the Tech Coach. If you guys have any questions about how to become a tech coach, what to do, how to build relationships, how to create your ed tech plans, we've got some great things coming up on this channel for you. Not only are we going to be bringing you this weekly podcast, Sue, I don't know if you know this or not, we're actually going to be expanding to do 2 weekly shows in the future here.
Absolutely.
We're going to be teaming up with our great friends over at Beluga. That's beluga.org. They are creating an amazing little platform where teachers can get professional development that is focused and that is to the point and that is exceptional. And that's what we're going to be providing. We're actually going to be doing a second tech coach show over there. And we're going to be deep diving into really what does a daily tech coach have to do? What do they need? How do we do things? As our podcast is going to be moving more towards the hybrid tech coach. So if you're looking for, I'm a new tech coach, there's going to be great content for you. If you're looking for, all right, I got a little bit of this, what do I do next? We're here for you guys, and that's what we like to do. All you have to do is reach out to us and ask the Tech Coach. You can find us on Twitter at Ask the Tech Coach. Go on over to AskTheTechCoach.com and check us out. And of course, if you want to be a part of our TeacherCast Tech Coaches Network, you can fill out our membership form for free over at teachercast.net/TCN form. That's teachercast.net/TCN form. Sue, I know we're working together on your website. How's everything going?
It's going, school started, so we're a little behind, but we're getting there. Techimaginations.net is evolving, and we're going to have new stuff out for you soon.
Absolutely. And don't forget, guys, August, I got to keep saying that, right? August 8th, we've got our Tech Coach Live virtual event all day on Saturday. We're going from tech coaches, for tech coaches, by tech coaches, and we would love to have you guys be not only in the audience, but members of the roundtable. We're looking to do some great conversations that day, not necessarily all presentations, but we'd like to get a few people every half an hour to come in and do roundtable conversations and stuff, talking about the topics that affect you guys the most. Sue, it's going to be a long summer. We've already had a long summer, and I want to say thank you so much for sticking around with us here. And thank you guys for being a part of the TeacherCast Tech Coaches Network. On behalf of Sue and everybody here in the TeacherCast Educational Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you guys to keep up the great work in your classrooms, virtual or hybrid, and continue sharing your great passions with your students.
You've been listening to Ask the Tech Coach, hosted by Jeff Bradbury of the TeacherCast Educational Network. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach or online at www.askthetechcoach.com. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.